How's it going, YouTube? It's Mike here. Had some questions on my Rocket Mass water heater and how I'm trying to claim Rocket. This test unit here doesn't actually have a riser, but what we do have, rained hard enough to put the fire out the other day. I have where the wood goes in. I have down here where the air can go in, and the air tunnel shoots all the way to the back, and then at the back of this tube that runs in here is a plate that redirects everything up around where the hot air comes in, and it's actually to the one side, to the front, I would say, of the hot water heater, where it lets up into that big cavity, because it's concaved up in there, and then in the center is the chimney. So basically what I think is happening, and the reason why I'm getting a clear burn in here, is that secondary air is mixing in this chamber and burning, and I'm getting just enough heat in the chimney of the water heater, and then also with my extension pipe to create a draw to suck enough air in to mix with the smoke. So that's basically what's made me decide that the overall concept is going to work. So me and my artistic work here, this is kind of like, here's that tube I just talked about, here's the extra air inlet, comes along, mixes around in here with the preheated extra air, and we're getting like a secondary burn in here, and then it's naturally drafting up. Now here is what I'm going to end up trying to set this on, and this is your fairly basic looking rocket stove type J tube is what I want to call it. I'm not exactly sure how I want it to work yet, but I know that I want to have just about double the height of whatever my infeed is, and then I'm going to have a little airport here, or maybe a bigger airport. I haven't decided yet. I've thought of actually making almost a firebox if I can get the air into it right, so that I could do a little larger stuff and then maybe leave myself like this small twig option still. Or I even thought, if I have the small twig option and a damper I can open and close here, about just getting like a bucket to set over top to make sure I keep my draft going the right way, and then get my heat riser going up. You can't really see it. I drew what's supposed to be my heated air line that's going to come over and up, and then as this smoke comes up, it's going to get the secondary air that's been heated, and I'm going to try to figure out how to suspend in here. I think I'm going to use like the bottom of a propane tank to divert the air to have to go to the outsides and around, and hopefully this is where my secondary combustion is going to happen in here, so that when it's hitting the bottom of this tank and riding in to get to the chimney tube inside, that it's on super hot side and really well burnt up, and then the chimney comes up and the smoke goes out, and there will be an insulated chimney outside of my shop when I finally get this done. So I do have a plan on actually putting a more of a riser tube at some point. Right now there isn't what I would call a riser tube, but there is a secondary kind of combustion area that's getting preheated air. It does burn smokeless. So I mean, I'm not sure. I know the kind of the theories on the riser tube. I'm not sure what's actually needed to really get that second or that full clean burn. I mean, this thing surprisingly will actually make the rocket sounds and everything else, which I almost I know about the riser tube and how it works, but I was getting the full effect. Although I did have to put, and this is one of the things too, not sure even how to show it right now, but the chimneys that I've been using, the one was just a single walled pipe and this is insulated. They're like 6-inch, and the pipe inside the water heater is a bit of a small diameter, so it is rushing the air, I believe. Any heat that gets up into this insulated piece especially is creating more of a suction. So hopefully that explains it. I know it's not exactly traditional, especially for this setup here. But this is just a test rig. This was just to see, because I filled it full of water to make sure that the chimney temperature was low. I wanted to make sure I could still get that rise of heat, which I did quite well. But I am also outside, so I mean I had some backdrafting on rainy days. The one day I lit it up and I had what I thought was a lot of smoke, and I realized it was actually steam coming out the top. But the tank's been drained now. I'm looking into materials, whether I get bricks and use mortar, or whether I end up, I've actually thought about trying to frame in and then pour in some, what do they call that, thermal concrete, and actually building a whole unit, or pouring a unit. I would like to be able to keep it somewhat portable, so I'm not sure if that's going to work or not, but not portable I guess, but I mean if I ever want to take it out, I want to be able to take it out, so it's not like I'm going to leg it into the floor. So I think it's going to end up being heavy, but I like the idea of doing brick and stuff, because this is going to go in my shop and it will be partly heating my shop when I'm in there, I'm hoping, within reason. I have another stove or two in there that I can mess with, and I'll have hot water, so I could always put radiators in, and I would like to come up with an in-floor heat idea, but being as there's already a poured floor in there and my budget is not huge, I'm still contemplating how I could do that. Anyway, I hope that makes a little bit more sense. The rocket stove idea is about burning all of the burnable gases and everything, and I think basically without having the proper riser, I'm still achieving that by having the mixing area and the heated secondary air, which, I mean, there's lots of wood stoves that use that, but the fact that I'm burning the small twigs and using kind of a condensed draft area, I think that's probably why I'm calling it a rocket stove right now. Although, as you can see from my plans, I'm hoping to get closer to a real rocket stove. So yeah, any other questions? It's good to have feedback, because and see what other people are doing. I'm always happy when I find other people's projects, especially if there's any similarities to what I'm doing, and then you can compare and contrast. And to me, that's what this is all about, trying to figure out what people have done, and then we can come up with our own ideas or make improvements or do it wrong and not have it work, or whatever we decide. But that's how we're going to learn. So thanks. We'll talk to you. Bye.